This is the world, of course, as it looks today. We're very concerned about such issues as global warming, climate change, and coming earth changes, which many have intuited. But if you go back 21,000 years, you will find that the world looked very different. There were gigantic ice caps covering the major land masses. The ice over North America, this huge ice cap, was actually 2 miles deep. Can you imagine that? 2 miles of ice sitting on top of New York City? Well, I don't know, but that's how it was. Same in Come Closer. I mean, just an extraordinary thing. Nobody could live there. Any traces of whatever was underneath it were ground to dust by the weight of that ice. Europe, the same story, a gigantic ice cap bigger than Antarctica covering the whole of northern Europe, just an extraordinarily different world. This is our world today with its familiar contours and outlines, and this is the world at the end of the last, not the end, but at the last glacial maximum, 21,300 years ago. There was no Red Sea. There was no Arabian Gulf. The Indian coastline was greatly extended. Sri Lanka joined onto the tip. Southeast Asia was a whole continent that is now underwater, just reduced to the Malaysian peninsula and the Indonesian islands. Altogether, 10 million square miles of land were above water then that are underwater now. And 10 million square miles of land, that's the whole of Europe and China added together in terms of area. So this was a very serious change that took place in the earth when we went from that to this. Interestingly enough, if you go to the Arabian Gulf, where the Gilgamesh epic comes from, and you look at the situation at the end of the last ice age, this was the Arabian Gulf at the last glacial maximum. This is not sea. This is a river. This is the combined streams of the Tigris and the Euphrates running through the otherwise completely dry Arabian Gulf, which formed a kind of Garden of Eden. It was one of the most wonderful places to live on Earth at that time, when most of the rest of the world was extremely arid and very inhospitable. And then, around 12,000 years ago, very, very quickly, the whole Arabian Gulf became flooded. So I think that if we see a flood story from that region talking of a global flood, it's pretty easy to understand where it came from. It came from what happened. It's a memory. It's not